Okay, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of The Face Off. Ross, introduce the guests.
We have the main event for Clan Wars 40. We have Indra Davis versus Dee Begley. Ladies, how are you doing?
Good. Happy, yeah.
Dee?
Yeah, great. Ready to go.
So we're actually making this the main event officially. Indra, what would it mean
I was
to
thinking,
you?
I didn't think that was announced yet.
Yeah,
Well,
Clan Wars put up a poll, and this was the number one fight that people wanted to be the main event. So, like, this is a very special fight according to the fans.
Definitely is. Indra, what would it mean to you to be the main event?
Well, definitely a bit of surprise, adding another layer of excitement and, dare I say, a bit of pressure as well. But I think, it's my ego doesn't allow me to believe that this is just for me and Dee. I think this is the country showing its support for female MMA, for women's MMA. And for that reason, I am very grateful, very proud, and really humbled as well. So yeah, I'm delighted. I think it's really good. As much as it kind of gives me some goosebumps, it's a good thing. And I like I say, I think it's funny because we have my team. We've got 3 other pro fights on the card, on the main card as well. And I mean, we've got Michelle, we've got Andreas, and we've got Ian Coughlin. I mean, they're all black belts, they're my coaches, so training tonight's going to be a bit awkward having to tell them that.
Yeah, especially Andreas. He'll be freaked. He's not the main event.
Yeah. But again, he's always been such a huge supporter of me, and I know he's definitely behind women's MMA. So I think he will understand and he will be delighted for us. Thank you.
And
very well
Dee,
said. Very well said.
Dee, how do you feel about main event?
Yeah, I kind of probably reiterate what a lot of what Indra has said. Really excited. I've been on the main card of a few shows before, but to be the main event would be definitely something more exciting and something new. And yeah, 100% for females MMA, it's huge. Just the way it's being recognized more in Ireland, and it just goes to show how strong it is in Ireland as well, with Leo McCourt's big win last weekend, and how everyone else is doing on the Bellator scene. So it's a great thing to be reflecting that nationally on the kind of regional shows and stuff.
Yeah, and that's why for the people watching now, they do not want to miss this on June 5th. Clan Wars 39 and 40 going down the same day. The link is going to be down in the bio to buy the pay-per-views. You have to make sure to buy the pay-per-views to invest in Irish MMA.
Yeah, one thing I will say is here over on the Energized show, we always actually try and give equal opportunity to both sexes. And I must say, I find mixed martial arts is the one sport in the world where men and women are seen as equal. You're seen for your skill set and not for your gender, which I think is absolutely incredible. And if you ask me and Barry who our favorite sports athlete is of all time, we'll both tell you Katie Taylor is our favorite. We think she's the greatest Irish sports person of all time. So so we just think it's fantastic that it's a sport where both sexes are put on an equal playing field. And you know what? It's great to see that your fight so far has been voted by the fans to be the most intriguing fight out of all the fights on Clan Wars 40. So,
yeah, and that wasn't just me and Ross jumping on and voting so many times.
So let's get into the fight. Indra, I'm going to start with yourself. How do you feel about your opponent Dee, and where do you think you hold an advantage over?
Well, I'm delighted, that I get this opportunity. I've kind of jumped to pro kind of quickly. A lot of people have asked me why, but my age, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm 34. I'm gonna be 35 this year. I've done a lot. I've trained a lot. I've competed a lot in grappling and jiu-jitsu. I've had a few boxing matches, a couple of MMA fights, amateur. And yeah, I mean, it is quick, I think in an ideal world, if it was a younger me, I'd say hang out a little bit longer and get some more experience. But I think the way it's going at the moment, and there aren't that many opportunities either. So I am delighted that it's Dee. I think she's, really big in Irish MMA. I've been watching her for years. She's been on the striking side. I've been kind of doing more of the grappling. So And I think for anyone who says, you know, oh, it's typical grappler versus striker, I think they're going to be quite surprised, you know. I mean, it would be remiss of me not to be, you know, working my striking, my stand-up game. And I'm sure Dee's been working her grappling. And I know she started off in MMA Cork, and they've got amazing grappling, wall grappling, cage grappling. So, yeah, I think it's going to be more interesting even than maybe people are anticipating.
Yeah, this is also the first ever professional women's fight on Clan Wars as well. So just a bit of extra history on top of that as well.
Yeah.
And then Dee, what about yourself? How do you feel to be fighting Indra, and where do you think you hold the advantages?
Yeah, so I'm really, really happy. I really appreciate Indra taking the fight, because like she said, like opportunities to fight in Ireland at pro level are like few and far between. So very happy to be fighting Indra. And like that, I think, yeah, very kind of similar. It like people do think like, you know, that I am high level striking and that I come from that kind of a background, but you know, I've been doing MMA now for like 4 or 5 years, so my grappling has, you know, gone up levels in that time. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting fight. I'm interested myself, you know, and you know the way like fights go, it's that first, you know, 30 seconds, minute of the fight, and you're feeling each other out. And yeah, I feel like it's going to be a high-paced fight, and that yeah, it'll be something the fans will want to see, because it's not what you're expecting. So yeah, so it's good.
And then Dee, just to follow up on that, do you have any female fighters that you look up to, whether it be in MMA or be in boxing? I'm sure everyone looks up to Katie Taylor, but do you have any MMA fighters, female ones, maybe like Sinead Kavanagh or Leah McCourt, that you do look up to?
Yeah, like I definitely, like, you know, the girls I train with are like they're all fighting on that level. They're fighting with Bellator, really high level girls, like that Sinead Kavanagh. Like I do rounds with her, and like she'd humble you, like she would.
I don't know that.
Yeah. So no, she's been a great training partner, and like really, like, you know, if I can kind of, you know, cause any bit of trouble for her, grappling and striking and stuff, like, you know, I'm happy. And then like the likes of Danny Nealon, you know, she's been my my sparring partner, you know, and she's, you know, she's bringing a totally different like angle to it, really high level stuff. So, you know, I'm more prepared than ever for these girls who are, and like, of course I look up to them because they're doing what I want to be doing. So you know, I'm a newer pro than them, and like that's where I see myself now in the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Leah McCourt for that win over the weekend. That up kick came out of absolutely nowhere. It was unreal.
Outstanding.
It was unreal. It was actually so good for like the MMA in general in Ireland, just being like, you're never out until the last second. You're still never out. Like,
yeah, she got some power into it.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, but like she also capitalized. Like that triangle was on before she or Harding even knew about it. Yeah. So like, you know what I mean? Like there are the opportunities that come to fruition, and she took it. And as well, like obviously she had a difficult weight cut as well, which I definitely feel sorry for her. And I don't know if this is like, well, I try not to make sex, but like obviously like women have like, you know, like a menstrual cycle and stuff like that, and like that can obviously affect your weight and stuff like that. And I'm sure if you are fighting what's called around that time, that like it can become far more difficult to cut the weight. So I think that's something that's like totally overlooked in women's MMA.
I was just having that conversation the other day. I think it's something that'd be really interesting to start a conversation with some other women first, and then maybe bring it out to the public.
Yeah, I don't think I should be here.
I want to talk about it now because
no, that was called. In fairness, I don't know enough about it, but like my partner's like personal trainer as well, and like she like obviously discusses with her clients. She doesn't tell me what her clients say, but she tells me like the effect it has on like just her training alone.
Yeah.
And then like I just thought about like weight cutting around that time, like, you know what I mean? Like it must become an extra sort of element that also
it's
a lot
of one more thing you have to kind of try and factor in, and time wise, and your weight and your diet and your mood and your energy, and like just keeping going. But yeah.
And then also,
I do think being postponed hasn't helped the situation at all.
That's what I was thinking. But obviously, like, people do know that they're in the gyms that do train, like that do train with the women, and understand that's what they're pushing this to be number one. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose I just want to ask you guys. I'll start with yourself this time, Indra. Out of all the women's mixed martial artists in the world, who's the one who you think your game is most comparable to?
The one I would most like to be comparable to. Well, I love Rose's style. I just watch her striking, and it's just she has such flow. I mean, her rhythm is next to none, and that's what I would aspire to, you know. And I know she's got amazing jiu-jitsu and amazing grappling, but because she's got this beautiful flow, like her last few fights have just been stunning. Just the kind of whippiness of her strikes, and when it lands, it's just perfect. You know, she doesn't expel too much energy. She just really gets it done. It feels like she can't ever be exhausted because she's just timed everything perfectly. That would be my I aspire to that, you know.
Baz, do you remember being there live in person for Thug Rose? We were at UFC 217 when she beat Joanna and Jacek.
Oh,
it was insane.
nice.
Yeah, we were actually with a lot of Joanna fans, so like that didn't go down too well.
And what about yourself, Dee? Who would you like to emulate, or which style do you think most similar to yourself?
For me, I like the idea that I will be kind of similar to Valentina Shevchenko, just that kind of like kickboxer style, the strong legs, but she also has, like, you know, the grappling game in there as well, and you know, that powerful kind of movement. And I'd like to think you know, my style will be similar to her. Definitely not as tall as she is, but my legs are deceivingly long. So
Ross, we have a Thug Rose versus the Bullet next weekend.
Oh, stop! It was called. Look, they're two of the most elite mixed martial artists in the world. Also, it's incredible to see, you know, how dominant they've been against their opponents as well. You know what I mean? I always just think, out of all the women, I think actually Rose Namajunas and Valentina Shevchenko are the best on their any given night. I think Amanda Nunes, although she is considered the women's GOAT, she does, I think, have a lot more physical advantages over opponents. She seems to be bigger. She seems to be longer. She seems to have carry a lot more power, as opposed to when it comes to actual technical skill and ability. Rose and Valentina, I think, are next level. Hence why Valentina could hang in there with Amanda and give her such a hard time.
Yeah.
No,
definitely. And I think Amanda Nunes as well, kind of, I think it showed against Germaine de Randamie, like, she doesn't have the strongest grappling background, but she's able to force a position, you know, against someone who's the same size as her. And, you know, so it's, Amanda has some power though. Like, what a fighter, like those knockouts. That's one person, I think, like, just because of the weight difference as well. I don't think I'd like to fight her.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't really want to fight Francis Ngannou either, you know.
Yeah.
I think I'd go past. Thanks very much. You know what I mean? Me and Barry always actually play a game of how much money would it take to fight Francis Ngannou. It's always in the millions.
It's definitely in the millions.
Yeah,
definitely not for free.
Oh, stop. Guys, one thing that we haven't asked our face off, guys, that I'd love to ask you guys is, what is your favorite fight of all time? Start with yourself there, Indra.
Oh, shit. Put me on the spot there now.
Thank God you asked Indra first.
Yeah.
Will me and Barry tell you our favorite fights to give you a bit of time?
Yeah.
My favorite fight definitely is Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler. Too. I thought that was absolutely epic. It was more when it came down to the fourth round and the both like just stood there covered in blood and stared each other down. I was like, you can't actually write these moments in MMA, and I was like, that was absolutely incredible. So that was my favorite fight. UFC 189, Lawler McDonald 2. Basmo?
I'm not actually too sure. I was going to crack a joke saying Ngannou against the Black Beast, but like, there's no digs showing that. You actually told me. I was going to say that one. I thought you were going to see me up for that. I'm not actually too sure. It's just I actually prefer watching the people train and the build up to the fights. I know the fights just the result of all the training put in, the hard yards, but like I almost rather watch like the countdown videos or the build up and watching people like really put everything into it and see how much they put into it and then thrive on fight night. But obviously, like, I mean, the night Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo, like, the world changed, you know. I remember Ross was just falling asleep, and the second the knockout happened, he was like up like a light popcorn everywhere, you know. But that
was something else.
Yeah, the Irish MMA scene in the last few years is unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think everyone knows.
all the money.
I think everyone knows exactly where they were when Conor McGregor like knocked out Jose Aldo.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It was definitely a where were you when moment. Yeah, but I think my second favorite of all time is like UFC 142. It was actually Chad Mendes versus Jose Aldo too. That one was an absolute like barn burner for scrap. And I think it's like almost goes under the radar as one of the best ones of all time.
That's when Conor was standing outside, wasn't he? Even sort of the pink and brown. Just standing staring. Yeah, crazy.
You have some memory. Like, I mean, like I watch most of the UFCs. I watch a lot of ONE FC and so on. But the women's fights for me they stand out in my memory. Even though I probably have enjoyed men's fights just as much, if not more. But for some reason, they stick in my head, and I think it is that element of I want to do that, or I want to look that good when I'm doing that. So but yeah, so I mean, if I'm just going to go to very recent history and say Rose and Zhang, I think especially because I called it for Rose, so a bit proud of myself for that one.
Yeah, I love it. And what about yourself, Dee?
I just kind of like, for a more recent one, I'd have to say Zhang and Joanna. I thought that fight was outstanding.
I was actually terrified for Joanna after that fight. Like that hematoma was something else. Like that was like I don't know if you guys remember when Mark Hominick fought Jose Aldo, and he had that like massive lump on his head. Like she looked like Frankenstein, and like I don't mean that in a bad way, but like she did
badly injured.
But that fight was absolutely incredible.
I
think it won fight of the year.
It did a one fight of the year, and I thought it was spectacular. Like what a showcase of skill! Like it was outstanding. And then like from a male fight, I was thinking of like Robbie Lawler. McDonald popped into my mind, but even kind of like more recent again, like as a striker, I thoroughly enjoyed Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski, like both fights. Yeah. I like thoroughly enjoyed those. Like they were enjoyable. They were like, oh yeah. Like
in fairness, when does Max Holloway not put on a show? Win, lose, or draw? Like he's incredible, and he's my mate. So like I love him.
That's not true. That's not true. Don't listen to that.
Yeah,
guys. Obviously, before we wrap things up, is there anything you want to say to each other?
We need a prediction first, Basmo.
All right.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to predict your own fight, ladies. Who wants to go first?
I think Dee's gonna win, like come on,
you can't say that.
No, but you can't ask people to predict their own fight. Obviously you're gonna say no.
But I need a method of victory. Right, okay, so we'll start with yourself there, Indra. D
right,
by what?
No, obviously not. Okay, well, in my daydreaming, it's always been first round TKO ground and pound win for me, but I am preparing for a 3-round battle, absolute hellfire. That's what I'm ready for. If it goes that way, I won't be surprised, and I'll be happy if it goes that way.
And that's exactly what you're training for.
Yeah.
And D?
You have to say Indra's going to win.
So I'm going to win similar in my head when I think about the fight. Funnily enough, I'm kind of thinking like a submission win, kind of shock the nation. Submission win or like a finish. Anyways, I don't want to be what's the word? Oh, I'm blanking. I don't want to be like I don't want to be too overconfident. Say like, first round. I could see it in the later rounds as well. But yeah, I think a submission finish. I'm going to say that. I'm going to put money on that.
In fairness, we actually had one fella on here, and he told his opponent he was going to finish him in the first 60 seconds. So,
no way.
Some of these face-offs have gone mental. Like.
Yeah, they are. You ladies have been the most respectful, but like also, I think for this occasion, being the first women's main event, and you have to see it, believe it, and make it happen.
Yeah.
That especially the first women's pro fight that Clan Wars put on. I just think that it's an incredible achievement for you guys, and I think it's an incredible acknowledgement of your guys' skill level as well. That you guys are going to be the main event at Clan Wars 40. We are definitely looking forward to seeing it. I'm going to say it again. If you like Irish MMA whatsoever, whether you only watch Conor McGregor or you watch Bellator, you watch UFC, you watch Clan Wars, Cage Legacy, whatever you watch, make sure you buy this pay-per-view. It supports the fighters. It supports the next generations of fighters. It supports the next wave of Irish MMA fighters. So make sure you buy the link. It is less than 2 points. You know what I mean? So make sure you do it, and you're guaranteed to be entertained. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Ladies, do you have anyone you want to say thank you to, whether it be sponsors or Jim? We'll start with yourself, Dee.
Could I just say massive shout out to my coaches, John Kavanagh and Dave Roach. They've been absolutely phenomenal. My training partners, Danny Nealon, Sinead Kavanagh, Katie Saul, they've all been fantastic. And then to my sponsors, more importantly, the guy who's making it all kind of come to a head and getting me on weight safely, and Tristan Kennedy, he's been an absolute gem. So yes, and then to my sponsors, big shout out to Gym Plus Coffee. They've been with me since the start of my MMA career. Exceed Fitness in Cork, Chiropractics, Panda Buds CBD company, and then my management team, Alpha Fighter Management, and my manager Barry. He's just been an absolute trooper. He's been great. So yeah, that's about it.
And Indra?
Yeah, same big shout out to my coaches. I'm super lucky to have Ben living with me, especially through lockdown now, so that he's been able to coach me day and night. So that's been really helpful. Michelle Dorino, who's also fighting on Clan Wars with me. He's my jiu-jitsu coach. He's incredible. He is the kindest soul in the world, and he's just given me so much of his time, even though he's in fight camp himself. So really appreciate that. All the guys and the girls who've been training with me, especially Yvonne and Natalie, they've been amazing. It's just been really good to have a couple of girls at least, because I have been starved for some female sparring because of lockdown. So really grateful for the two of them. They've done so much traveling to come to me. So thank you, girls. My sponsors, Maria, she's been fixing my body. I've been breaking it every week and she fixes it. Emerald Wellness Life as well. He's my chiropractor, and same as that. Sometimes I'm just this walking bag of injury. So I really appreciate them keeping me going. Everybody in Shaolin, so in Galway, and the rest of the lads who are going to be fighting. So, West Coast Decorators.
Perfect timing.
I feel like there's a gun to your head. Perfect timing. I feel like there's a gun to your head here.
Do you see though? Like, I couldn't do it without Ben, because he's my brain at the moment. This is the last week of Fog. So yeah, Philip Delaney. I mean, he was the very first sponsor who jumped on board when I said I needed a bit of help. And he sponsored all my fight gear. He sponsored everything. He's basically paid for the whole thing. So I really appreciate all you guys, and especially the girls who've been traveling down to train with me. So yeah, that's it.
That's brilliant. Just want to check in. You're okay there. There's no one would have gone to your head.
No, he's just going to spar harder later. That's all.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. Sorry, Dee.
I'm after forgetting a sponsor as well. It's really bad out of me. I should have had a list.
Who was it? Go on.
ROS Nutrition jumped on board for this fight camp, and they've just been sending me out all my protein and my supplements. And it's just, to be honest, if anything, a massive cost that I would have had before. So thank you very much to the guys. Best
if anything, that
protein.
Shout out just became more special.
There you go.
We'll get the two years to send
that in.
Yeah, we'll get the two years to send on a list of who you want to shout out, and we'll make sure they're tagged in it. But girls, I want to thank you very much for coming on again. Like, it was very relaxed. Like, as we said, Aaron McDonald went on a Malvin with Jordan Denning. For people that didn't check that out, that was a really, really funny one. Thanks, Mel, girls. Like, you're going to create some history now next Saturday. For the people who are checking it out, make sure to hit the link in the bio. You can buy the pay-per-view and watch all these fights. There's going to be over 30 fights and action-packed June 5th. Ross and Nelson?
No, guys, if you are watching this video, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and as always, stay energized.